defines who we become. Every day we have a choice to play it safe or get it done. Every hour holds a miracle that changes history. Every minute brings a chance to chase a dream. This is our time. It's now or it's never. We're as ready as we're ever gonna be. Crossing the line between faith and forever. We've got every reason to believe. It's our turn to shine, let's take it. This is our time. As we head into the future with the
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome UCLA Extension's directors. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dean of UCLA Extension, Wayne Smoots.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Wayne Smoots, Dean of Continuing Education and UCLA Extension. I'd like to welcome all of our graduating students and their families and friends to this afternoon's ceremony. Thank you so much for coming. For those who decided not to brave West Side traffic on a Friday afternoon, we are also providing a live stream of this ceremony on YouTube, or you can probably watch it afterwards if you want to watch it again. So welcome to all family and friends of our graduates who are watching the live stream. I'd like to take a moment to introduce the people who are on stage with me. First, Extension's Associate Deans, Michelle Stiles and Kevin Bond. Michelle and Kevin work with me to make sure we keep headed in the right direction. Next, our academic and administrative directors are the leaders of UCLA Extension. They are all committed to making sure that our students have an exceptional student experience. Please stand. Each year, we honor a select group of our instructors as our distinguished instructors. Some of these honorees are also on stage. I'd like to introduce them. Ron Cooper, Fernando de Moraes, Vincent Padilla, and Ron Takaguchi. I'd also like to recognize two other very special groups who are here this afternoon. First, some of our talented instructors are with us. Extension has more than 2,000 instructors, and to our students, for all intents and purposes, our instructors are UCLA Extension. They are the heart and soul of what we do. Please stand, UCLA Extension instructors. Second are members of the UCLA Extension Advisory Board. Our board of advisors consists of some 25 top executives and industry professionals. These are the individuals who help us keep up to the moment on trends in their respective fields so that we can continually keep our programs fresh and relevant. All advisory board members, please stand. Finally, there is one other very important group that has helped our students along the way to this achievement today: their families, friends, coworkers, and fellow students. Their support and understanding has made this day possible for our students. So please, let's take a moment to recognize these special individuals who I ask to stand now. Families and friends, stand up, be recognized. There you go. Thank you. To all of our graduates, with the help of all these groups of talented, hardworking individuals, each of you as a student has been on a remarkable educational journey. Today, more than 2,000 of you have reached an important, impressive milestone in that journey. We at UCLA Extension honor you today on earning your UCLA Extension Gold Certificate. Nobody but you knows how just remarkable your specific experience has been. Of the thousands of people whose journey of a lifetime learning brings them to UCLA Extension certificate programs, no two of them have exactly the same goals for their studies. And no two of them leave UCLA Extension on exactly the same path. Some want to deepen their expertise in their current career. Others want to develop new skills for a career change. Still others pursue a personal interest outside the workplace. And some seek education as its own reward. Whichever dream brought you to this day, and whether you've taken your classes in Westwood, elsewhere in Los Angeles, or online from locations all over the world, we know that you've juggled multiple roles as you pursued that dream: student, employee, spouse, partner, parent, brother or sister, friend, volunteer, citizen, community member. Balancing these roles with your studies was not easy. In fact, it probably was hard, really, really hard. Well, I and everyone else in this hall are here today to tell you, you did it. We're here today because you've taken this significant step in your learning life. So on this special day, take a moment to feel really, really good about yourself. You've certainly given us plenty of reasons to feel good about you as representatives of UCLA Extension. During your time here, you no doubt have amply demonstrated the 5 traits that make you a true UCLA Bruin: integrity, excellence, accountability, respect, and service. You've also shown another defining characteristic of UCLA graduates: optimism. Your UCLA Extension certificate is a tangible reminder not only of the excellent work you've done, but the outstanding instruction you've received and the lasting connections you've made with your peers, but also of your belief in a brighter future. When you take that next step, you will go confidently into that future, knowing that what you've achieved can never be taken away. Earning a UCLA Extension certificate is not about a piece of paper. It's about how you've changed, grown, and evolved as a person and as a professional. And it's also about your newfound place as a proud member of the UCLA community. No matter where you go in this state, this country, or in the world, you will run into other UCLA Bruins, and you will learn that Bruins are incredibly committed to their university and to each other. We hope that being a part of this community will continue to be a meaningful part of your life, and we encourage you to be active members, staying involved with both UCLA as a whole and with Extension. We know that we've given you the tools you'll need to go confidently into the next chapter of your story. We are honored to have been part of your great adventure. You are true learners. You are true dreamers. You are true optimists. You are true Bruins. Congratulations and good luck. Thank you. This year, I'm honored to say that our keynote speaker is journalist, author, and commentator Jorge Ramos. Before he addresses us, let's hear a little bit about his illustrious career.
Jorge Ramos is one of the most admired and trusted television journalists in the United States. That has earned him the sobriquet, the Hispanic Walter Cronkite. For his nonstop effort on and off the air to fairly portray the Hispanic community and the undocumented immigrants in the United States, he's been called the voice of the voiceless. The Wall Street Journal reported that Ramos is a key to a huge voting bloc.
¿Qué tal? Muy buenas noches. Continuamos aquí en esta
Jorge Ramos has been the co-anchor of Noticiero Univisión since 1986. At 28, he was one of the youngest journalists in the country to hold such a position in a national newscast in any language.
Lo que sí ocurre es que es el fin de una era.
In fact, looking back on his career, there are only a few historic events in the latter half of the 20th century and the early 21st century for which Ramos has not been present. He's covered 5 wars, endless political conventions, and a good share of natural disasters. Once, he asked for a vacation to cover the war in Afghanistan.
Where is Osama?
Osama comes there.
An assignment that, at the time, the network deemed too dangerous. He's had very public encounters with Venezuela's former president, Hugo Chavez, with former Cuban dictator, Fidel Castro, and with Nicaraguan president, Daniel Ortega. He's been at the White House interviewing George Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and President Barack Obama. He's a relentless interviewer, to say the least. Many newsmakers end up on the hot seat in Ramos' Sunday morning political show, Al Punto. Translation? To the point. He also hosts America with Jorge Ramos, his first program in English on Fusion. He's received 8 Emmy Awards for excellence in journalism, in addition to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Lifetime Achievement Award, the prestigious Maria Morse Caput Award from Columbia University, and the RTDNA John F. Hogan Distinguished Service Award. But more importantly, after so many decades in the business, Jorge Ramos is still a newsman at heart. If people don't believe in what you say, he repeats frequently, it makes no sense to be a journalist.
Hasta mañana. Gracias.
Please welcome journalist, broadcaster, author, and one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world, Jorge Ramos.
Yes, you did it. Yeah. Sí se puede. Felicidades. It is possible to do it. I know what you went through because I was there. Let me tell you something. Once, many years ago, and you've seen my hair, actually 31 years to be exact, I was right there where you are. And I was a happy man, believe me. I think of that moment and I still smile. I had made a bet with my life and it had paid off. Just like you, I had enrolled at UCLA Extension to study journalism and television for 1 year. But for me, it was really very challenging. Yes, I know, well, you know, I have an accent. But just imagine how my English was 3 decades ago. It's true. Sometimes I couldn't even understand myself. That's how bad it was. So I started from scratch. As an immigrant from Mexico, everything was new for me. I had left my home, my family, my friends, and especially all the expectations that life was going to be easy and predictable. This country and this university have been incredibly generous with me. They gave me the opportunities that my country of origin couldn't give me. So let me tell you something. You don't become an immigrant because you want to. You become an immigrant because you have to. As French traveler Alexis de Tocqueville once said, the happy and the powerful don't go into exile. And in my case, I had to leave Mexico. This is the story. I was a young reporter working for a television network when my third story on the air, my third story was completely censored. Back then, when Mexico was not a democracy, you couldn't really criticize the president in the media. Well, I tried, and guess what? It didn't work. I was devastated. I didn't want to be a censored journalist, but I had a pretty good job, and my career was just beginning. Many people thought that I should just let it go and move on to the next story, but I just couldn't. So before being fired, I was going to be fired. There was no question about it. This is what I did. I wrote a letter of resignation, and I quit. It was really difficult. Some colleagues thought that I was crazy, giving up the opportunity to work on television, but I knew that if I had accepted censorship for that one time, it would have happened over and over again, and I wouldn't have been able to look myself in the mirror. So I left with no job, no money, and apparently with no future. Now, however, I think of that moment, that to quit that job was probably the most courageous and the best decision of my life. So be true to yourself. That's the first lesson. Don't live the life that others want to impose on you. And by the way, for many years, I kept that letter of resignation as a badge of honor. The second most difficult decision in my life was to immigrate alone to this country, to the United States. I sold my old car. It was really old. Got a few dollars and applied, just like you did, to UCLA Extension and came here with a student visa. You know, I'm sure you remember the first time you came to this country, but I still remember that moment. After landing at LAX, everything I owned, absolutely everything, including my guitar, I could carry with my both hands, everything. That's the sense of freedom, and I never felt freer in my whole life. I learned English, or just a little bit. I studied journalism for the first time in my life, and exactly 1 year later, with a UCLA Extension certificate in my hand, I got a job at Univision, at a Univision station here in Los Angeles. Since then, Univision has been my home away from home. And what was supposed to be a 1 year experience in this country has been transformed into a rich, long, and incredibly exciting career. The Nobel Prize winner, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, I'm sure many of you know him, once wrote that to be a journalist is the best profession in the world. And he was right. It keeps you young, and it keeps you a rebel for all your life. Nothing in this world, well, look at this. Nothing in this world is foreign to a good journalist. Now, I'm so glad that I didn't have to follow my father's advice. He wanted me to become a doctor, an attorney, an engineer, or an architect, just like him. I still remember that when I told him that I wanted to become a journalist, guess what he told me? He said, "But what are you going to do with that?" And he said that in a special way that I still remember. Well, many years later, before he died, he would watch my newscast via satellite. He was in Mexico City. And frequently he would call me on the phone afterwards to comment on my ties. He did that. He loved ties, and he would ask me what kind of color of your tie was and where did you buy it and so on. Anyway, it was funny. He would call me about my ties. But what I knew was this. We made peace before he passed away, and it was beautiful. He knew that I had made the right choice by coming to the United States and by following my passion. And too late in his life, he realized that he had made a huge mistake. As I told you, he was an architect, and it's not precisely that he loved architecture, but he chose that simply to satisfy his dad and to make a living. His passion, however, was magic. Yes, he was a great magician. He was always doing tricks on us, and the only time when he was really laughing and when he had fun was when he was performing his magic tricks on us. So this is the lesson. Don't be an architect if you really want to be a magician. Exactly. If you want to be a magician, be a magician. Find out what you want to do with your life. And it's quite easy. If it's something that really makes you tremble, it's what sparks joy and enthusiasm in you. And stick with it. Go where you have to go and do what you have to do. There is nothing worse in life than living your life in a place that you hate and spending every moment of your life doing what you don't like. Now, let me just finish by talking about the importance of second chances. Writer F. Scott Fitzgerald, one of the most influential writers in the 20th century, said the following: "There are no second acts in American life." Well, I think he was wrong. That means he didn't know about Apple founder, Steve Jobs, and he was not enrolled at UCLA Extension. I'm sure you will understand this because it happened to you. This country is the mother of second chances. We all make mistakes, many mistakes, but I don't know any other country in the world in which you can reinvent yourself after a big mistake, like in the United States. There's even a ritual. You know how it is. After you do something stupid, and we all do stupid things sometimes, first, of course, you get very upset. Then you confess your mistake. You apologize very publicly for it. You take a break just for a few months. And if you are really sincere about it, you can come back, reinvent it. Americans are so generous that usually they'll give you a second chance. They give me a second chance. So sometimes it's not that you make a mistake, but that you happen to be born in a place where you don't even have a chance to thrive. Billions of people on this planet are born like that. But many immigrants, like me and many of you, were given a second chance. Now, this is not an abstract dissertation. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Somebody has to give you that second chance. And for me, UCLA Extension gave me that second chance in life, and it allowed me to reinvent myself. I'm sure that many of you are as grateful as I am for this second chance. So in this afternoon of celebration, let me just say it twice. Thank you. Thank you. Before I go, let me show you something. It's really personal. I don't know if you can read it, but if not, I'll read it to you. This is my certificate from UCLA Extension. But wait, I was not as lucky as you are, because you're really lucky. In 1984, some of you were not even born. In 1984, I got this letter with my certificate on the mail. It said, "Congratulations on completing the course requirements for the certificate in journalism. The training you have received," remember, 1984, "the training you have received and the good work you have done should prepare you for a successful career in journalism." So, So this is what I want to do with you. Remember, 1984, no emails, no social media. It was completely different. And now I realize that I didn't have a graduation ceremony back then in 1984. I was already working, and I understand that back then there was no graduation ceremony. So if you allow me, and please do that, if you allow me, this afternoon, I want to graduate with you, okay? So, before I go, since we're going to graduate together, we're going to take a selfie. Another one? Yeah, another one. Thank you very much. We're graduating. We're Bruins.
Jorge, thanks so much for those words of encouragement and true inspiration for our graduates. I am honored to recognize you today with the 2015 UCLA Extension Professional Achievement Award for the outstanding work you do as a journalist, author, and news anchor. You are one who clearly does not shy away from difficult subjects, nor do you refrain from speaking truth to power. We are honored and proud to think that in some small way, UCLA Extension may have helped set you on your path. You are indeed an inspiration. Congratulations, Jorge. We're not done yet. It's also my great pleasure to inform our graduates that in a moment, as Jorge said, he will become one of you, actually. As you heard him say, he completed his certificate in 1984, but that was a time when we did not have a graduation ceremony here. He did get his certificate, but there wasn't any fanfare around it. So today, Jorge, to make this your gold certificate graduation ceremony, we have a new certificate to provide you in this UCLA plaque. One final step. So, as all of you will learn later in this ceremony, for the very first time, all UCLA Gold Certificate graduates will automatically become part of the UCLA Alumni Association. And Jorge, while it's about 31 years late, we also want to make sure that you are part of the UCLA Alumni Association too. And for that, we're giving you the UCLA True Bruin pin. Please turn your attention now to the student testimonial video.
Scene one, take one.
My name is Jag Soni, and
I am in the Human Resource Management Certificate Program at the UCLA Extension.
My name is Parisa Louise Govani, and I'm taking the International Trade and Commerce Certificate Program.
My name is Joshua Stamen, and I'm the recipient of a certificate for television writing.
My name is Jennifer Spisher, and I'm currently enrolled in the Early Childhood Education Certificate Program.
I'm excited for graduation. I am. I've always watched it in movies, American movies back home, and always wanted to be a part of something like that. And today I get the chance.
I intended on taking one class, figuring out everything, and then just moving forward, and that just didn't happen. I just kept coming here.
You've got instructors that have tremendous experience. I have Sal Sangi,
Michael Baker,
Phil Kellard,
Mike Kilroy,
Tamar Andrews.
They've all opened an invitation to all the students. The invitation is, if you need help, they're there to help you. They have hearts of gold. They care. They will give you beyond your imagination. They are my board of directors. They're my advisors. You know, I want to honor that. I want to show that they're behind me and I'm here because of these guys. Scene 3, take 2.
The class that I found the most enjoyable was the master class in pilot writing with Phil Kellard. And the thing that I loved about it the most was the workshop. It was about working with people in a writer's room. It made me feel like I could really get used to this. I could see myself doing this for the rest of my life.
The class that I enjoyed the most was the class that I took in management that was held by Steve and Harriet. And what made the class enjoyable was that they were really inspirational and enthusiastic, and it gave us a lot of good knowledge about how to succeed in our future careers.
I took several classes with Tamar Andrews. She was great. She's also a very hands-on woman with a lot of energy. And I'm somebody who picks up other people's energies and moods like really quickly. So she always came into class with a good mood and a big suitcase of materials and just told us, go play.
Tim Farrell, I was in his Human Resource Development course, which is about training. Tim's outstanding. He's a VP at a bank in the area. He cares. He cares so much about his students. He gives mnemonics for you to remember stuff. He will have us as a class repeat things 20 times just to make sure that we understood it. Scene 2, take 2.
The program has inspired me to do much more than I would probably do with my life if I stayed in Sweden. I'm inspired to take the next step to change my career. It opened up a whole new world for me, a world that I didn't know existed. I just needed to let go of all the safety nets that I had back home. It's been probably the most amazing experience I've had in my life so far. And I know that it's just the beginning.
What UCLA has done a great job of, for me is it's given me the chance to start my career with a tool set that I feel more comfortable with. I feel like I can now dive into projects with a greater understanding of what it is I need to do to get there.
This is why I'm doing this job, because I never wanted to stop playing, and I don't think anybody should. I think everybody should go and take time to play. Everything to little kids is still so magical, and that's what I really love about that. You really learn from them.
It's a bed of learning. I mean, there's such richness here. That's why I selected UCLA Extension, and I plan to come back and take more courses. I'm not done.
UCLA Extension has something for everyone, and that's the beauty of the program. So I'm proud to be a Bruin, of course.
We introduce Kevin Vaughn, our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs.
Thank you, Wayne. How's everybody doing? Good. So to all of our graduating students, let me first say congratulations. I know that you all have worked incredibly hard. You should be very proud of yourselves and what you have done. Each one of you deserves this accomplishment. And to all of our graduating students' family and friends and everyone else here tonight, thank you so much for joining us to celebrate our graduates' achievements. I just want to say a few words about certificates. I believe that certificates are the wave of the future in higher education. And you, our certificate graduates, are riding that wave. The authors of a recent Georgetown report wrote that the certificate has become a cost-effective tool for increasing post-secondary educational attainment and gainful employment. And you certainly don't need me to tell you that both post-secondary education and especially getting a job are good things. And a study found that in 1994, U.S. colleges and universities granted 300,000 certificates, and by 2010, that number had reached 1 million certificates. And today, certificates actually represent almost a quarter of all post-secondary credentials, surpassing associate's and master's degrees as the second most common award after bachelor's degrees. Now, this actually is my first certificate graduation at UCLA Extension, or anywhere, actually. And if certificates are the wave of the future, I guess you could say that my own educational journey has been a bit old-fashioned. I earned a bachelor's degree in 4 years. I took a year off, and then I earned a master's degree in 3 more years, and then I earned a doctorate in another 4 years in anthropology. And you guys are very, very bright, and I know you're there doing the math, and you're calculating that it took me 12 full years after I graduated from high school before I finished my formal schooling. And I'm certainly not saying this to undermine my own career choice. In fact, that path fit very well my professional goals. I'm an archaeologist, and I wanted to be a field researcher working as an archaeologist in the south coast of Peru, and I wanted to be a professor. And though I did eventually achieve those goals, I have to tell you, not only did it take me well over a decade in schooling alone, there was a lot of uncertainty along the way. This included temporary assignments where I wouldn't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing the following year. And I actually ended up in a place where this West Coast boy never thought he'd live, where winter wind chill temperatures frequently got down to 25 or 30 below zero. So no complaining about the hot weather today. So being a tenured professor was great, but when I had the chance to return to the West Coast, I jumped on it. And my experience has actually shown me that the traditional path of bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees, as many of my students, my friends, and colleagues know, is absolutely no guarantee of either a steady paycheck or necessarily a position that is intellectually and professionally, not to mention climatically, satisfying. So, and indeed, I think it's safe to say that in the current employment market, a certificate program that focuses on developing competency in a high-demand field can give you a lot more bang for the buck than pursuing a traditional advanced degree, as these student testimonials suggest. So there's both statistical and anecdotal evidence that tell us that in choosing to earn a certificate, you have chosen very, very wisely. So congratulations. And of course, what happens next is up to you. You might never take another formal class. You may simply put what you've learned here to work in your career. You might return to UCLA Extension for other classes or for another certificate. And your current studies certainly don't preclude you, you're moving on to the old-fashioned traditional path should you decide to pursue a master's degree or a PhD. You might even follow the path of many of your fellow alumni and return to UCLA Extension as an instructor. Wherever the next step in your journey might take you, I'm confident that the skills you have learned at UCLA Extension and the people with whom you learn them will help you get there. So again, congratulations. So you're ready to move on here? Some brief instructions. As previously noted, among those seated behind me on stage are UCLA Extension's program and department directors. These dedicated academic professionals are responsible for creating and refreshing certificate curricula, overseeing the implementation of our programs, and being on the cutting edge of their fields, and they are. Tonight, each director will come up to the podium to announce the certificate programs that he or she oversees, and listen up. When your certificate program is announced, the director of that program will ask you to stand as a group and be acknowledged, so get ready for that. After your group has been recognized, we ask that you take your seat and remain seated until all certificate programs have been announced and all graduates have received their recognition. Easy, right? All right. So with that, I want to introduce Dr. Linda Venus, Director of the Arts Department, who will begin this year's award acknowledgments. Dr. Venus?
My name is Linda Venus, and I'm the Director of the Department of the Arts. We are now going to recognize the certificate programs in the arts.
Good evening. My name is Pascal Cohen-Olivar, and I'm the Director for the Entertainment Studies program. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in acting, cinematography, development, and directing. Please stand and be acknowledged. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in the Business and Management of Entertainment, the Certificate in Entertainment Studies, the Certificate in Independent Producing, and the Certificate in Producing. Please stand up and be acknowledged. And finally, I would like to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate programs in independent music production, in the music business, and in film scoring. Please rise and be acknowledged. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Scott Hutchinson, and I am the Program Director in the Visual Arts. It is my pleasure to recognize all the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in Advanced Print and Graphic Communication, Advanced Web and Interaction Design, Design Communication Arts, and the certificate in Photography. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. I'm Stephanie Landrigan. I am the Program Director of the Landscape Architecture and the Horticulture and Gardening programs. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who completed the certificate in Horticulture and Gardening. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in landscape architecture. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Daniels, and I am the Program Director of the Architecture and Interior Design programs. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in interior design. Please rise and be acknowledged.
As Program Director of the Writers Program, it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in creative nonfiction writing and fiction writing. Please rise and be acknowledged. As well, it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in feature film writing, television writing, and screenwriting, film, and TV comprehensive. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Roger Tornaden, and I am the Director of the Business Management and Legal Programs Department. It's my pleasure to recognize all the certificate graduates who have completed certificates in business management and legal programs.
Good evening. My name is Rich Burns, and I am the Program Director for the Accounting and Finance Programs. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the following certificates: the Certificate in Accounting, Certificate in Internal Audit, and the Certificate in Taxation. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the Certificate in Finance. Please rise and be acknowledged. And finally, it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the Certificate in Personal Financial Planning. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Ing Panswath, and I am the Program Director for Leadership and Management Programs. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in Business Administration, Business Fundamentals, and General Business Studies. Please rise and be acknowledged. I would also like to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in Human Resources Administration and the Certificate in Human Resources Management. Please rise and be acknowledged. I'm also happy to recognize the certificate graduates who have completed the Certificate in International Trade and Commerce. Please rise and be acknowledged. I would also like to acknowledge the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in Public Relations, Strategic Branding and Public Relations, Marketing, and Marketing and New Media Fundamentals. Please rise and be acknowledged. And finally, I would like to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the Certificate in Wine Education and Management. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Aymara Zelina, and I'm the Program Director of Legal Programs. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the Certificate in Paralegal Studies. Please rise and be acknowledged.
As Program Director, it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the Certificate in credit analysis and management, the certificate in emergency management and homeland security, and the certificate in real estate. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Eloise Lopez Metcalf, and I'm the Director of the Education Department. We are now going to recognize the certificate programs in education. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Early Childhood Education Advanced Core, the certificate in Early Childhood Education Basic and Advanced Core, and the certificate in Early Childhood Education Basic Core. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in parent education and training. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in teaching English as a second or foreign language. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Eric Latham, and I am the Program Director of Post-Secondary Programs. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in college counseling. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Learning and Life Skills, Pathway and Generation Next. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Sue Marshall, and I'm the Director for the K-12 Teacher Preparation Programs. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in educating and supporting students with autism spectrum disorder, the certificate in positive behavior and emotional disturbance supports for K-12 teachers, the certificate in teaching general education for secondary school students, and the certificate in teaching special education for students with mild moderate disabilities. Please rise and be acknowledged. As well, it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in teaching English language learners. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Varal Shamirian, and I'm the Director of the Department of Engineering and Technology. We are now going to recognize the certificate programs in engineering and technology. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in the following areas: certificate in advanced plumbing systems design, certificate in applications programming, certificate in astronautical engineering, and certificate in communication systems. Please rise and be acknowledged. It's also my pleasure to recognize all the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in construction management. Please rise and be acknowledged. It's my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in contract management, certificate in database management, certificate in digital signal processing, certificate in government cost estimating and pricing. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Information Technology Management, certificate in Linux Unix, certificate in Manufacturing Engineering, certificate in Operating System Administration. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in project management. Please rise and be acknowledged. Finally, it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Recycling and Solid Waste Management, certificate in Supply Chain Management, and certificate in Systems Analysis. Please rise and be acknowledged. Congratulations.
My name is Linda Wilson. I'm the Director of the Department of Humanities and Sciences. We are now going to recognize the certificate programs in Humanities and Sciences.
Good evening. My name is Sheila King, and I'm Program Director in Health Sciences. It's my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Alcohol and Drug Abuse Counseling and the certificate in Alcohol and Drug Abuse Studies. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in fitness instruction. Please rise and be acknowledged. And finally, it is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in patient advocacy. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is David Goldman, and I'm the Program Director for the Humanities and Social Sciences. It's my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in archaeology, the certificate in post-baccalaureate classic studies, and the certificate in post-baccalaureate post-classical Latin. Please rise and be acknowledged. It's also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in fundraising. Please rise and be acknowledged. It's also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in Interpretation and Translation, Chinese English Interpretation, and Spanish English Interpretation and Translation. Please rise and be acknowledged. It's also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificates in journalism and in Spanish language journalism. Please rise and be acknowledged. Finally, it's my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in nonprofit management. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Good evening. My name is Rick Zapala. I'm Program Director in the Sciences and Health Sciences. It is my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Transformational Leadership in Healthcare. Please rise and be acknowledged. It is also my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Pre-Medical and General Science Studies. Please rise and be acknowledged. And lastly, it's my pleasure to recognize all of the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Healthcare Management and Leadership. Please rise and be acknowledged. Congratulations.
And finally, as Program Director of the Sustainability Certificate, it is my pleasure to recognize all the certificate graduates who have completed the certificate in Sustainability Management. Please rise and be acknowledged.
Congratulations once again to all of our certificate graduates. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to our alumni speaker, Albert Lemus, who is the chair of UCLA's Alumni Council. He earned a Bachelor of Arts in History from UCLA in 1991 and an MBA from Stanford University in 1997. He is here today to talk with you a bit more about True Bruin values and welcome you to the UCLA Alumni Association. Albert?
Thank you. Good evening. So my, I'm sorry here, I gotta find my spot. Hello, certificate graduates. I'm Albert Lemus. I'm chair of the UCLA Alumni Association. It's an honor to address you today on a very, very special day. As graduates of the class of 2015, you are a very distinguished class. The UCLA Extension Certificate graduates are the first group to become automatic members of the UCLA Alumni Association. So, everybody take a... Now, in addition to some of the other degrees that I've been so fortunate to attain, I'm also a certificate holder from the Extension, so I'm very, very excited about that. Yeah, thank you. It means quite a bit to become a true Bruin, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what that means. As a group, you know instinctively through your commitment to education, growth, and success. As UCLA Chancellor Gene Block has stated, every part of UCLA life embodies core values of our campus. We take pride in our diversity, our unparalleled programs, and our world-class faculty and the beauty of our campus. This pride is at the heart of what it means to be a true Bruin. As a true Bruin, you commit to these 5 principles: integrity, excellence, accountability, respect, and service. These are the ethical standards of all Bruins. All certificate graduates should have received a true Bruin pin. If you've not already done so, please place the pin. If you have it now, if you could please place it on your clothing. All right. So it is now official. As members of the elite group of true Bruins, I congratulate you on your achievement today. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Albert. We're all really excited about this recent decision to grant UCLA Extension Gold Certificate holders the UCLA alumni status, so it's a terrific step. This has been a great day. In closing, I'd like to once again thank our keynote speaker, Jorge Ramos, for sharing this day with us. And I'd like to acknowledge our wonderful, hardworking UCLA Extension staff and instructors, both those who helped all of you graduates along the way toward earning your certificate, and those who put together this event in celebration of your achievements. I'd also like to thank our organist, Christoph Bull, for providing music. And most of all, I want to thank all of you, our certificate graduates. I'd like to ask you to rise one more time to be recognized as UCLA Extension certificate graduates and as alumni of the University of California, Los Angeles. That concludes our program. Please join us on the lawn outside Royce Hall for some refreshments. Thank you again and congratulations.
We have learned, moving closer to the destiny each one of us has earned. We're bound to make a difference. The journey's just begun. And we'll reinvent ourselves for years to come.